Hello and welcome to the Daily Meal for Friday 26th of February 2021. How are we all doing today? Are we good? Well, it seems Jake Cooper is good because it seems he doesn't need surgery at all. Even though he's dislocated his shoulder twice now, both times when it popped out, it didn't cause any damage when it came out. So they're saying even if he gets, there's nothing to do surgery on because there's nothing to fix. Nothing got broken on the way out. There's no fracture in the sockets. There's no fracture in the shoulder. There's no torn cartilage, no torn muscle. It's all good, apparently. But anyway, this is from londonnewsonline.co.uk, which is South London Press's online website. It says Jake Cooper no longer set for shoulder surgery as Millwall chief reveals op would not greatly reduce risk of injury happening again. Jake Cooper could be back in Millwall squad for tomorrow's match at Barnsley, with the centre-back now not set to require surgery on his dislocated shoulder. The Lions had initially been aiming to hold off on an operation which would have ruled Cooper out for 3 months until the closed season, but he went to see a specialist on Monday who indicated that going under the knife would not dramatically improve the chances of the surgery not happening again. Even with surgery, there is a percentage risk of redoing it, said Millwall boss Gary Rowett, and that isn't far off the chances of where we are now. It is a case of strengthening and making sure the muscles are tough and resilient around it. It's fabulous news that Coops doesn't need an operation. Coops being Coops, he will be in this morning saying he feels fine and the shoulder feels really strong. Why can't I play this weekend? We have to balance off the players' wishes and what is best for the players long term. I suppose technically he will be available. It is whether we risk him at this point is probably unlikely. The general consensus was that he needed 2 to 3 weeks strengthening. It's probably 10 days by this weekend, so just short of the ideal. Jake is an excellent athlete. He has shown that with his prolonged run of games. If anyone can be back quicker, it will be him. If I had 30 players fit, then I'll be giving him the full 3 weeks. But because I haven't, it always tempts you into thinking, could he play? Michael Keftenbild was due to train yesterday. The Dutch midfielder has missed the last 4 league matches with a hamstring strain. My gut feeling is that the weekend will be too soon for him as well, said Rowett. So there you go. Apparently I got it wrong. Jake Cooper doesn't need surgery on his shoulder. It won't do him any good if they did it. And I think there's like a common misconception about surgeons is if they can, they will. If they're not adverse to doing unneeded surgeries, especially in kind of private practice, you want any kind of surgery, they'll do it. If you're paying money for it, they'll do it. So I'm sure that Jake Cooper won't be going on the NHS. But speaking of the NHS, don't we all love the NHS? Well, here's what they say. About a dislocated shoulder. So they've got basically a page on every kind of illness that you can think of, and if you want to know how to deal with it if you've got it yourself, you can go here and find out. So it says a dislocated shoulder takes between 12 and 16 weeks to heal after the shoulder has been put back into place. So not 2 to 3 weeks. So that's probably why after it happened the first time it came out again, because it wasn't healed properly, and it's not going to be healed properly for 12 to 16 weeks. So I wanted to show you another bit down here. If you do not have any fractures, your arm will be gently manipulated back into its shoulder joint using a procedure known as reduction. Okay. While you're sitting on the bed, the doctor will rotate your arm around the shoulder joint till it goes back in its socket. This may take a few minutes. Okay. So some people tear ligaments, tendons, and other tissues when they dislocate their shoulder. If these tissues have been damaged, you may need surgery to repair them. This can significantly reduce the chance of dislocating the same shoulder again in the future for some people. So it seems if there's damage, then they do the surgery, and then your risk of doing it again will be reduced. So it seems what's likely to happen is that Jake Cooper didn't cause any damage dislocating his shoulder. It's happened once, it happened again, it's still no damage. So you would imagine if he doesn't let it heal for 12 to 16 weeks, it could happen again. And then if it happens for a third time, will it cause damage? Then you'll need the surgery. If it happens for a fourth time, if it doesn't cause damage on the third time, it can happen again. It's just going to keep happening until he lets it heal. Or it happens and it causes damage, then he needs surgery to fix it. So it said sometimes it's necessary to have open surgery to remove bones around the shoulder to prevent further dislocation. Surgery can sometimes be avoided by doing appropriate exercises to strengthen the shoulder if the tissues are overstretched but not torn. So that seems what Jake Cooper has. His tissues are stretched but they're not torn. So let's go down. Recovery time. You can stop wearing a sling after a few days, so they recommend that you put your arm in a sling for a couple of days. So has Jake Cooper been doing that? If he has, then who's been driving him around? Has someone been driving him around? He's been driving himself. So he hasn't rested it, or even for a couple of days, I assume. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he's been sat at home like the rest of us. Maybe he hasn't. I don't know. But it said, but it takes around 12 to 16 weeks to completely recover from a dislocated shoulder. You will usually be able to resume most activities within 2 weeks, but should avoid heavy lifting and sports involving shoulder movements for between 6 weeks and 3 months. Your care team will advise you. So this is for like normal people. It's not for athletes like Jay Cooper, you know. You'll probably be off work for 2 to 4 weeks or longer if you have a physical job. If you've also broken your arm or shoulder joint, you may need to wear a sling for up to 6 weeks, and recovery will take longer. So it says the chances of dislocating your shoulder again will depend on your age and how well the tissue surrounding the joint healed the first time. It can help if torn tissues were surgically repaired after dislocated shoulders put back in place. However, subsequent dislocations do sometimes occur, particularly in people younger than 25 and those over 40. Doing regular recovery exercises under the supervision of a physiotherapist and avoiding awkward arm positions can also reduce the risk of dislocating your shoulder again. So, Jake Cooper doesn't need surgery, apparently, according to Gary Rowett. But he's dislocated his shoulder twice now. Because the muscles haven't healed up. They need 12 to 16 weeks to heal up. It seems that because he's a really good player, he's probably one of our better players for the past 2 seasons, that we need him to play. Because he's a hell of a lot better than the replacements, which is Alex Pearce, and apparently Aidan Muller's injured. Murray Wallace is injured still as well. So we don't have a lot of choice. So it seems he's going to be playing again. But here's the thing. Jake Cooper is our main goal threat. So if he carries on and just goes back in and just plays as he is, if he goes in and throws himself in for these headers again, there's a very high chance that he will dislocate his shoulder. And there is a very high possibility that teams, knowing about his 2 dislocated shoulders, will drag on his arm because they are nasty bastards. And that's the kind of thing that they do, especially certain northern teams like Leeds, though now they're not in our league, but that kind of thing, they'll yank on his arm and try and get him out of the game if it's because he's a really good player and a tall player who's good at set pieces. So looking at everything, I think if he plays, he should play. He should play, but maybe he should play differently than he has been playing until the end of the season. That he should kind of rest his arm by not going up for too many headed balls, especially in set piece situations in attack where they're pulling on your shirt, they're pulling on you, all that kind of thing. Maybe he should act as like a decoy, where he starts in the 6-yard box and then he runs out, drags a player away with him, drags a couple of players away with him. Maybe he can do something like that. Maybe he can stand on the outside of the box and they ping a floating ball towards him and he heads it towards the goal, because he'll probably be on his own, or there'll be one guy next to him marking him. It won't be like 3 or 4 players around him, well, maybe 6 or 7. He's in the 6-yard box, pretty congested in there. So maybe you should think about that. So maybe we should play him, but he should play slightly differently than he has been playing. When then you should think, well, what's the point in that? You're not getting Jake Cooper, that we know him and we love him as goal scoring sensation that he is, and we're desperate for goals because the strikers can't score any. So, but it is what it is. Let's see what happens. He probably won't play against Barnsley or even be on the bench, but the game after, which is only in the midweek, maybe he can get involved in that game. Anyway, moving on. We are talking about tomorrow's game against Barnsley away. David Prutton, as usual, has made his prediction, and his prediction is what you see here: Barnsley 2, Millwall 1. Now, he always sides with the northern teams, so against the southern teams, that's no surprise. And there you go. But it does seem we might not be getting anything out of tomorrow's game. When you look at this is whoscored.com, and they give a little preview of the game. They preview the likely lineup, which I hope it's not this. I really hope it's not this, and there's a bit more thought put into the kind of side we put out, and a bit more intent in how we play. I hope we don't play like this. I really hope we don't. Anyway, you go down here, you can see the massive injury list for Millwall, and only a couple of squad players out for Barnsley. They've got no rating, so that means they haven't played much. You see the rating for the Millwall players. Some decent players missing from the squad: Jake Cooper, Ryan Leonard, and Connor Mahoney. And team news, it says for Barnsley, Valerian Ismail could make a couple of changes in attack this weekend, with Connor Chaplin and Daryl Dyke both in contention for recalls following impressive substitute cameos in midweek. Apo Halmi returned to action on Wednesday night, so Liam Kitchen and Ben Williams are the home side's only confirmed absentees. Millwall boss Gary Rowett could recall duo Matt Smith and Mason Bennett ahead of this tricky encounter. All 6 of the away side's injury concerns will carry over another week, with none expected back for the trip to Oakwell. So, match facts. Barnsley have won their last 4 matches in the Championship. Looking good. Millwall are undefeated in their last 9 matches. Oh, looking better. Barnsley have scored at least 2 goals in 6 of their last 7 home matches. Oh, that doesn't look good. There have been under 2.5 goals scored in Mill's last 3 games in the Championship. Okay. Prediction from WhoScored.com. It says Callum Styles opened the scoring for Barnsley in midweek with an incredible long-range goal before Daryl Dyke put the result beyond doubt late on. The Tykes have now won 4 league games on the bounce and are genuine playoff contenders. Millwall looked to be heading for defeat against Luton on Tuesday night before George Evans equalised in injury time. The London club are now unbeaten in their last 9 league games but face a side in even stronger form here. They predict Barnsley 2, Millwall 1. So the same prediction as David Prutton. Let's have a look in more depth. Here you can see the last 6 games between Barnsley and Millwall, both home and away. 2 have been won by the home team, 2 have been draws, 2 have been won by the away team. Well, no, not really. No, 2 have been won by Barnsley, 2 have been draws, 2 have been won by Millwall. And 9 goals scored by Millwall, 7 by Barnsley, 13 yellow cards for Barnsley, 1 red card as well, and only 6 yellow cards for Millwall. And we have gone up there. Our last trip to Barnsley was a 0-0 in June of 2020. Yep, remember that time? In years and years in the future, you'll remember that time we played in June. We played a league game in June. Yes. We played a game in June at Barnsley and we drew 0-0. But the game before that as well, in March 2018, we went up to Barnsley and won 2-0. So there you go. It can be done. And here we go with the form. Barnsley are in a really good form right now. You can see here, last 6 games in all competitions, they've lost only once. That was to Chelsea. Remember, Chelsea, the team in the Premier League? They lost to them in the FA Cup, 1-0. Only 1-0. They didn't get bad. And then they've won 4 games in a row. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Keeping 3 clean sheets. And only conceding 1 goal in those 4 games. And a game before that in the league was a 0-0 draw. Nottingham Forest. It seems they are the real deal. So, Millwall, in their last 6 games, drew against Norwich, then won 3 games in a row. Then drew in the next 2 games against arguably some of the worst teams in the league, Wycombe and Luton. So, here we can see, you can see the strengths and weaknesses according to this website. And it seems they have a lot more in their locker than us. Millwall's weaknesses: finishing scoring chances. Absolutely. Keeping possession of the ball. Yes. Okay. Match forecast. These are all very likely. Millwall will steal the ball from the opposition often. Barnsley will steal the ball from the opposition often. Barnsley will score a long shot. Okay. So it seems we may be losing tomorrow. But you never know. I'm going to tune in on iFollow. I hope you do too. And I'll see you for tomorrow. It's post-match analysis. Thank you for watching. Bye.